Amralem Koamshan. Jordan no Brendan Temwal Shur. Kezam El Borden Wendak. Kamil Tohori no Tadakbu.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3VO, where we are all on the same team. I'm one of your hosts today, Brendan.
And I'm the other one, Jordan.
And if you're new here, we are just two big old nerds who absolutely love to share our love of video games with anybody who will listen to us. So if you're new here and you too love video games, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about the incredible, amazing, stunning, stupendous, wondrous game that is Ori and the Blind Forest. But before we get there, as always, it's time to check in. Jordan, how's it going?
I'm doing good. I like the clarification at the beginning that we will literally take anyone who's willing to listen to us. No discrimination at all.
Did it come off as desperate?
Slightly, but we
open?
are, so it's...
Okay.
I don't think we need to hide that that's kind of our vibe right now. Just please listen to our podcast. We're begging you. No, I've been doing good. I've been back at work this week, and it's actually been not too bad. I have, as in terms of like gaming and stuff goes, I'm in a lucky spot. I'm taking a week off from my workout schedule right now, just to kind of give my body a chance to rest and actually recover a little bit, which is very, very important.
Good.
So I finally booted up Mass Effect Legendary Edition this past week, and then I've been jumping back into that, and it's
very nice.
Good to be back on the Normandy.
Man.
It's so nice. It's so good.
Now, have you played in the Legendary Edition's Mako yet?
I have. So, I have a question that hopefully you or maybe somebody can answer. They added the boosters on the back of the Mako for Legendary. Yes, I'm not just a fool who never...
I don't know.
I really don't want to find out that you've been able to, like, boost your way through shit on the Mako.
I don't know. How would because I haven't played the Legendary Edition yet either.
Yeah.
But our editor has.
Yes.
So maybe the editor could, like, put the answer
here
for us. Have those boosters. Oh, is it like a thrust, like it's nitro?
Like,
or...
It's like, you know, like the thrusters on the bottom of the Mako to make you go up. It's that on the back of it, too.
Oh, so like a nitro and like
it's like a nitro, game. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, surely not. Surely.
Really fucking hope so. I don't want to know. I've bought in this game like 6 times, have played it over a decade, and just there was a whole mechanic of it that I just never fucking found out about somehow.
My instinct says that yes, it was added for the Legendary Edition. It sounds like an improvement that was needed and not there.
Very much so.
But I hope we're not wrong.
I hope so. Because I will say this. It makes the Mako tolerable.
Oh, like
it is.
Good.
It is. It's not as annoying to drive anymore.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I made a post about it online, but I was just like, I came into it going like, all right, I'm at least going to do something different on this run. I'm going to at least like try to romance somebody else, keep the crew different. And then I met Tally, and I'm just like, it's my girl. Like, how am I? Like, what do you want me to do here?
You're a sucker. We get it.
I really am.
I get it, too. If I wasn't always trying to romance Kaden.
I was going to say, how many times have you gone after that?
I didn't say I wasn't a sucker.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's been nice to be back on the ship, back on the crew, and like really getting to play it for the first time again. Because it's... All my stats are started over again. I'm getting achievements in Mass Effect again, which is a fucking trip.
Yeah.
To be playing it now and get the and I'm just like, the fuck is that? Right, I haven't done this.
Right, because it's a whole new game.
A whole new game. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been up to? How's it been?
So I, as is my standard answer now, a lot of wedding planning.
Yes.
A lot of gearing up for that. We're gonna meet with our baker soon and figure out like what we're gonna do. We're thinking cupcakes.
Love it.
Love it. Cupcakes. So like still a lot of that. Also playing a lot of Pokemon Unite when I'm not playing games for the podcast.
Right.
other than that, I'm picking up a side gig, which I've mentioned.
Yes, that's right.
So I'm going to be starting. I don't know if I should like affiliate myself with the company, so I'm not going to say the company name.
Yeah. No, it's probably a smart move.
But I'm going to be a quiz master for like pub trivia nights.
Yes.
At local bars and pubs and things.
That is very
excited.
That is a good gig for you.
I was so excited to be able to put in an application and say things like, I would be good for this position because I host a podcast and I'm a DM and I have a musical theater background. It was like, wow, I've actually really prepared for this, you know? So it was a whole trip instead of putting down boring things like, oh yeah, I can use Microsoft Excel, you know. So it's really cool to be in a position where I can put my performance skills to use. Yeah.
You also just have a personal history of just like being able to correct people and tell people they're wrong, just in like your own existence. I had to throw a little bit of shade.
No, that's fair. All right, well, now that that's all out of the way, it's time to dive into the game for today, and that is Ori and the Blind Forest. So this game, I feel like everybody heard about this game. Maybe not everybody played it, but it was like the big hotness when it was brand new. It was a game that you could get bundled, I believe, with an Xbox One when those were brand new, right? So it was a major deal for a while. It came out back in, I want to say 2016, because in 2014 they were talking about it. It was at all of the conventions, and then by 2016 it was out. It is it's a title that comes to us from Moon Studios, which is an indie developer. We love indie games, and Ori is no exception. And Moon Studios was founded by a gentleman named Thomas Mahler, who actually came from Blizzard, and another gentleman, Gennady Carroll. I'm sorry if I butchered that. They founded Moon Studios back in 2010, and this title, Ori and the Blind Forest, and its sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, are the two games that have come to us from Moon Studios. So, Ori and the Blind Forest centers around Ori, who is a guardian spirit, who's the last of his kind. And it centers around his actions as he races to save this spirit tree, which is like the heart of the forest, and bring life back to the Blind Forest. So that's kind of the elevator pitch there. As always, spoilers ahead.
Yep.
So I just want to start the conversation that we're going to have about Ori by saying, like, this is fucking art.
Oh my god, in every sense of how you can describe it as being art.
Everything works in perfect concert with each other. All of the elements. The gameplay is smooth. It's beautiful because everything is hand painted.
Yeah. And it just looks so good.
It looks so good. It plays so good. And the orchestration is incredible.
Oh my god, the soundtrack is so good in this game.
The score is so fucking good. And so there's no part of this game that doesn't deliver.
Yep.
And something that I found really interesting when I was doing research for this episode, one of the game designers was talking about, like, the environments and, like, painting all of the different, you know, areas and, like, all of the assets and everything. And he was saying, like, you know, when you're walking through this section of the map and you, like, walk past that mushroom, that's the only that mushroom. It's not
really
anywhere else in the game. Everything is unique.
Oh my god! So nothing is like copied or like. I would assume that's an environmental thing, not necessarily like a main thing. Like the enemies clearly have been like.
Clearly, of course, yeah. There's nothing that's repeated, but as far as the environment and the, you know, all of the things that you're walking past and the atmosphere, everything completely unique. And I was like, Jesus.
That is incredible.
It's amazing. And that's the kind of thing that you could only get from an indie developer, I feel.
It's true. It's very, very true, sadly. But that's why indie development will never, ever go out. Like, in terms of, like, in any form of art, like, no matter what. Because it's just, like, there's always that struggle between, like, to use the gaming world as the example here. It's just, like, you always have the issue where it's like the AAA titles will always get more press. They'll always get more like coverage in terms of like oh, the new Call of Duty or Battlefield's coming out, da-da-da-da-da. But it's like you have gamers like us and other people who seek out a bit more, who kind of go like, yeah, but, you know, they're not making Ori. Like, no one else is doing this.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm still going to be going over here. Sorry.
Absolutely. But yeah, so this game is incredible. And, like, if anyone were to start up that argument, that, like, age-old argument of, like, video games aren't art.
Lies.
I would literally use this as my sole argument against that point. I would say, go look at Ori and the Blind Forest, play it for 10 minutes, and tell me that video games aren't art.
I wouldn't even tell them to play it. I would just sit them down and have them watch the beginning intro for the game before you really start playing.
Yeah.
And just be like, tell me this doesn't in some way move you. Mm-hmm. Like, even if this isn't your style of, like, media that you like, or just like this kind of story that you like, tell me that you don't understand that this does something beyond just, this is fun to play.
Absolutely. So everything altogether in Ori is incredible. Highly, highly, highly recommend. It is a Metroidvania, as we mentioned before. Mm-hmm. So if you caught our glossary episode, our gaming glossary episode, you'll know that a Metroidvania is something where it's a 2D platformer, action adventure sort of style, but you're going to be traversing through different areas, and you're going to be coming back through areas that you've already been through, having, gotten power-ups and boosts and whatever, and you're going to be able to traverse them differently. So there's a lot of areas that you come back to, things that open up, and environments that are shifting and changing as you play throughout the game, which is really, really great because the storyline, the plot with Ori is that you are trying to save this kind of dying forest. You're kind of trying to save the whole land. And things do change and develop as you progress through the game. So it really lends itself to a Metroidvania style, I think.
Yeah.
It's inspired by games like Metroid. That is something that the developers actually pointed out. They said, we are inspired by Metroid. They also said that they're inspired by games like Rayman, which is very evident in lots of the assets and things and the colors and, just everything. The developers did say that Ori and the Blind Forest is like their love letter to those games, which I just absolutely adore. Mm-hmm. I think that's really, really great. And again, I think something you can really only get from an indie developer.
It's true. Well, because it's not, at the end of the day, and as girls, it sounds like it's not cost effective for the bigger development teams to make something like this.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense for them.
What are some of the areas, since we're talking about the environments and the atmosphere and everything, what are some of the areas that really stand out to you from Ori and the Blind Forest?
I mean, the biggest pieces to me is some of the stuff where it's like, the big one for me, so it's a lot of the escape stuff, like escaping from I think it's the big tree you go in as it fills up with water and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That stuff, mostly because, and a big part of that, to go back to it, is because of the music playing in that part. Mm-hmm. Something that I realize on this is that it's very important for a game like this is the music. Because if you're going to be dying as you do in this game over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, as you get used to the mechanics and like what the game wants you to do and stuff like that, you better have a soundtrack that people aren't sick of hearing over and over and over again.
Very good point.
And I will say, for as many times as I did die in this, I didn't really get sick of hearing just death come back up and someone just losing it on a bunch of piano keys, just in the best way possible. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So I'd say stuff like that. Running around in one of the last areas, where you get I think it's the basic mechanic is that you're kind of going around collecting different elements to put the tree back together. So when you're going for the one that's like the fire stone.
Yeah, the element of warmth.
The element of warmth. Yeah. Just going through the different levels and getting the lava to like flow up and down.
Oh, yeah.
I think what I'm roundabout trying to say is that I like the use of the elements within the environments themselves.
Oh, I see.
As like part of the mechanic of the game.
It felt like it was like steeped into the area that you were in.
Yeah, and when you did things like when you did the stuff with the water and the tree, that affected everything else in the forest too. Like it uncorrupted the water that you could then go into, and it opened up more areas and made the whole world feel connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or like when you unlock the element of winds, and then all of a sudden there are the wind currents that are opened up across the forest.
Which was super fun, just going through and being like, oh yeah, there's that one thing I couldn't get. I still can't get up there.
Oh, wait.
Since when was there a wind gun? Yes!
Yeah.
Just go.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you have this big map for Ori and the Blind Forest, and it's all one solid map.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no disconnectedness. And that's another one of the really great points about this game is that there's no loading times. Like, as you go between areas, it's just completely seamless.
Mm-hmm. It's
Which,
very, very clean.
in 2016 is still a big deal.
Oh, that's
huge.
huge.
You know, like, it was major at the time.
Oh, yeah. No,
For sure.
I remember, to use a different game, I remember the first things I did when I got Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time. Even I got it on the 360 when it first came out, before I had an Xbox One.
Yeah.
But I remember I was just like, I want to see this. So after I got through part of the storyline of the game, I literally just took a car and just drove from one side of the map to the other side of the map. And I just tripped out on, like, it didn't load. I didn't have to do a cut screen thing. This is insane now.
Yeah.
So for something like this to get to do, especially with a platformer like this, and like a Metroidvania type thing, to where you could just it feels so fluid to run around between all the different areas is nuts.
Yeah. And even like the couple of areas that you have to like quote unquote enter as like a separate area, you just go through the door, it cuts to black, and it comes right back. There's
it's nothing
time
crazy.
spent. It's completely seamless, which is really great. Overall, this game provides a really great challenge, I would say.
Oh, that's how we're gonna put it while you're on camera now? It's a great challenge.
I'm gonna get there. Don't give away the ghost yet.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. This game provides a really great challenge, even on normal difficulty.
Oh, yeah.
In retrospect, I think I probably would have done better to play this on easy for the podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm not upset that I went through it on normal, because that's what I usually do for video games. But I can't imagine playing this game on hard.
Oh, God, no.
Certainly can't imagine playing it on one life.
God, no. Absolutely. There's a one life mode?
Yes. For the definitive edition, which is what's available now on like the Game Pass, which is what I played through. They added both hard and one life.
All right, adding that to the list of like difficulty levels I'll never get to. We got that. We've got 1999 mode on BioShock Infinite. We've got legendary null skulls with Halo. Like there's just some things that just aren't gonna happen.
I can't imagine. I would love to see that playthrough, and I would love to meet the person that dedicated so much time to doing a no life, no dies playthrough.
That's the thing. I want to see the gameplay of somebody doing it. I'm never gonna do it myself though.
No, because there's so much happening throughout the game, and it's not a short game by any means.
No.
It's a good amount of content.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine sitting down for like what is like a 10-hour game, or 8-hour game, if you're 100%ing it. I mean, okay, if you're really good and you're not going for all of the collectibles and everything, then you can probably get through it in 4 hours?
Yeah.
I don't know. Speedrunners, prove me wrong. Maybe it's shorter. Maybe it's a lot shorter. I don't know. I haven't actually looked.
You'll look at the speedrun time and it's like 5 minutes somehow.
It's like something crazy. I can't imagine. But yeah, so it's a great challenge, even on normal. You will die a lot.
You will.
But
you're going to want to throw your remote a few times. It's just going to happen.
But what's so great is by the end of the game, at least I feel, you're so adept at maneuvering through the world because of all of the upgrades and things that you get, that by the end, I felt very like, how to put this? I felt like I was adequately equipped to navigate like the last stage.
Yes.
Which is very difficult.
Yeah.
In terms of movement. It's a lot of button presses.
It really is.
Just mechanically, like with your hands.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah. And especially if you're not familiar with it, like going through it this time, it's my second time playing through the game, so I was a little bit familiar with some of this stuff.
Sure.
But it's also a lot of like split second, like, oh, how do I react to this? How do I move through this? Like it's a lot of that by the end of the game too. So it's yeah. And the ending's great too, because it makes you use everything the game taught you throughout in a great way.
Absolutely, which is, I think, really
incredibly
great.
satisfying.
Which is absolutely, it's very satisfying when a game doesn't forget about all of the things that it did prior, because some games can suffer from that, right? Where they they teach you a mechanic and then you use it in that area and then you like never touch it again.
Never ever use it ever
right,
again.
Exactly. Or it gets completely obsoleted by a new power or something, and you're like, okay, why would I do that when I can do this?
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen in Ori. You need all of the movement mechanics that it gifts you, and it trains you slowly throughout the game.
Yeah.
I feel so that by the end you're like zipping around and you feel like really speedy.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, it's super smooth. It's a great challenge, and I think that this is my ideal Metroidvania.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think that there's so, like, I mean, it's the whole picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got a good story. Not great. Not, like, over-the-top amazing story, but a good story.
It's nothing new in terms of, like, the hero's journey, sort of.
Not at all. But it's good. It's good. And it's got an unexpected ending.
Yes.
You know, it's got a slightly unexpected, but not completely unwarranted ending.
Mm-hmm.
And the mechanics are super, super smooth. Big area, no loading times, you know, great character design, the score, just like everything, like I've said, working in concert. I think this is like kind of like my base for like ideal Metroidvania.
I kind of want to hunt a little bit of, because you've mentioned a couple times now, and I appreciate you talking about how smooth the mechanics of the game are. Because I feel like, especially with something like a Metroidvania game, is that the difficulty level can kind of come from how unthought through some of the mechanics of the game were at times. Whereas with this, it's not that. It's that sometimes what the game is asking you to do is very complex. It's like it works within the game and what the game gives you, but it's complicated. Like the game's sort of going, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be difficult to do.
Absolutely.
But it's that much more gratifying when you do it, though. Like, I remember the very first time playing it, like I was talking about before, going through the part with the tree where the water's rising up. Like, genuinely coming out of the top of it with water bursting out of it, and genuinely feeling like, oh, thank God!
Such relief.
Like, whoo, okay. Got out of it. Whoo, okay. I need a minute. Whoo, okay.
Yeah. See, now for the one for me was not the tree. That one I died certainly a few times.
Yeah, that's just the first example.
But I got through it after a few. Really, the one for me was the wind, the Forlorn Ruins.
Yeah.
That was so difficult for me to get through.
That part's rough. Yeah. Same
really
here.
Rough. It's really rough. And thank you for bringing this up, because it does bring me to like my final point, which you kind of touched on a little bit. There were things that bothered me, Brendan, but didn't, but like aren't bad about the game.
Right.
They were just things that I was like losing my mind.
Oh yeah, well we had a similar thing where we talked about when we talked about Dead Cells. Said it's like any of the things within that game that were a problem, they were a problem for me. It wasn't a problem with the game itself. It was a Jordan issue. So I feel like you have that, and it's good to recognize that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I will say. Because I'm sure that there are other gamers out there like me who would maybe experience the same things I did. So like there were a few times, for example, like the Forlorn Ruins, when you're trying to rush out and escape, you know, yada yada, and you're just like dying. I love moments like that in video games where you're doing the like daring escape and you're like making really quick decisions and trying to maneuver without dying, so that you don't have to get set back, right? I love moments like that, especially like the example that comes to mind is like Sonic games.
Oh yeah,
will feature, you know, times like that where you're like running really fast, trying to escape whatever's happening. I love moments in games like that because it's so exciting and you feel so accomplished when you get to the end. But I also feel like there's a bit of a double-edged sword, because if you're dying just a lot, then that feeling starts to kind of fade.
Yeah, it can.
You know?
It can.
And it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm making a daring escape, making split-second decisions to get me out of here. It feels like I'm running through this route until I know it perfectly and can just get out.
It gets to a level where it's like that the thrill of trying to escape leaves, and it's now just the frustration of like completing a chore at that point.
Exactly.
I feel the same way with like certain survival horror games where it's like you make it difficult and make it scary, but there comes a certain point where it's like, I'm not scared or thrilled anymore. I'm just annoyed that I can't get through this.
Right. It takes you out of the gameplay.
Yeah.
So if you're a kind of gamer that maybe struggles with that, just know that about this game. It's not a bad game.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it like, you know, it doesn't kill the game for me. It just Makes me a little frustrated.
Oh yeah, and even as much as I love this game, and the moment that we thought we were going to do it, I was so down for the plan. But there are definitely moments in the game where you just want to grab that little white fucking fox thing and just be like, listen, you're very cute and I love you. Get your shit together for me.
Honestly, I thought that while I was playing. I was like, how did Jordan get through this?
Oh yeah, no. It was a lot of just sitting there going, okay, we're fine. It's a game, we're fine. It's a lot of moments of me just by myself going, it's just a video game. It's just a video game. It's gonna be fine.
I don't have that self-regulation. I just yell expletives.
Oh, there's a lot of that
too. But overall, super, super, super rewarding end to this game once you do get through. And especially if you ran around and collected a lot of the things, I feel like that can set you up better for the end, and then just give you that kind of nice ending that you want. Because even that last chase section with Kuro was difficult, but I was well equipped for it, and so it didn't frustrate me as much as previous.
Yeah,
maybe it was because I was used to it by that point, but definitely, I felt rewarded by the ending.
The first time I played the game, I did what you do. I played it on normal the first time, but I didn't do as much running around and collecting things and whatnot. So first time playing, when I got to the end, I was incredibly ill prepared. This time, I went on easy and spent a lot of time running around collecting things. So it was plenty of health, plenty of backup stuff. All my powers were boosted up pretty good. So on this one, I was much more equipped to give in. Yeah. Didn't necessarily mean that the ending was easy by any stretch of the imagination. But But I also, we've talked about that before too. It's just I love games where it's you are rewarded for exploring the world and trying to do things and figuring stuff out and stuff like that. I just, where it's just it's so ingrained in there that it's just kind of no, go run around, go check stuff out. It's just, I don't know. It's such a simple thing, but I love it when it's used well for games.
I will say, I probably, and maybe this is a hot tip for all of you out there if you're looking to play this game. Hot tip. Go run around and find the stuff.
Excuse me.
Excuse you.
Sorry.
Go run around and find all of the stuff that you can when you can, because you're gonna want all of the health and the energy and the everything that you can get, all of the boosts and power-ups for this game.
Oh god, yeah.
Because you will die really quick if you don't. And I wish that, in retrospect, I'm I should have run around and found more things sooner than when I decided to, because I waited until the very, end, right before you go into the mountain. I was
really?
I was okay, before I go into the mountain, I have all of the movement power-ups now,
right?
So I can go get everything, because that was a barrier on a lot of them, was oh, you can't get that thing that you can see up there yet because you don't have the high jump, whatever, So I was well, fine, forget it. I'll just go run around and get everything that I need later once I have all of the movement mechanics, and I don't need to worry about remembering where things are and coming back and all of that, because I find that tedious.
Right, fair enough.
Because I want to get all of the collectibles, but when it's convenient for me.
But I'll do it on my own time.
But that
don't rush me, game.
But that would be my tip, is run around and get all of the things that you can, when you think about it, because it's handy to have the extra health and the extra energy.
Oh yeah, the extra energy for me especially, because that mechanic is built into, that's how you can save in spots wherever you want. Because there's spots set up where you could fast travel and you could use it as a safe spot as well. But being able to just realize you're about to jump into a tricky area and just quick saving right there, so when you die you go back to that spot, is nice. Because again, the first time I did it, I didn't do a lot of running around the game, so even by three quarters of the way through the game, I only had 4 energy slots there, and you use those to attack enemies and get through areas and whatnot too. So I'd be sitting there going I can't die, because if I do, I have no energy left, and if I do, I'm getting reset 30 minutes back.
Yeah. That happened to me more times than I'd care to admit.
Oh, I believe it.
Getting set back because of not remembering to save.
Oh no, even with, I maxed out my energy on this one, and even with that, there's still moments where I would just die and go, fuck. When was the last time I saved?
Yeah.
Shit.
I got into the habit of saving like every 30 seconds.
Right.
Like, no lie.
Yep. Oh no, going back into Mass Effect. No, I am back in that habit of just like do a thing, save, do a thing, save.
I'm sure it's got to be more forgiving in the Legendary Edition.
There's a lot more quick save spots for sure.
Okay,
But
okay,
yeah,
for
still.
Just to touch on the story, since we've talked about like the ending.
We have.
Not like the story ending, but like the last mechanical thing that you do as the player, the last chase. This story is oddly a coming of age story.
It really,
right?
really. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, it is.
The main character doesn't speak. In fact, only like 2 of the characters speak, and one of them is a tree.
Yes,
and the other one is like the disembodied spirit of the tree. So,
yeah, that's running around with you. So,
right. But somehow it's a coming of age story. I don't know how to put it any other way. Ori, kind of wakes up into his destiny and is like sent on this like daring adventure, and ends up saving the forest.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a story it's a coming of age story in the best sense to me, because it's a story about how it's the lesson learned about like how to kind of put it in simple cheesy terms of sort of like how love and hate are sort of like 2 sides of that same coin, where it's just like hate and anger can spread like a wildfire and it can destroy very, very easily. But then by that same token, just by putting in that little extra effort, so can love, and it can make things grow, and it can help things thrive, and that gets as hate gets passed down, so does kindness and charity and love and whatnot gets passed down too. Yep. So I think that's where I liked it, is that you're watching Ori kind of like see that lesson unfold in front of him as he is enacting his own lesson himself, or themselves. I don't even know what Ori would even identify as. So
the developers identify him as a him.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. And they made him, so I'll go with that.
Yeah. They would be the authority.
Yeah.
And then you have the really cool unexpected ending in Ori, wherein the antagonist, who's kind of been chasing you around for the whole game, kind of realizes what's happened and realizes that she cannot continue the like pattern of like hateful actions that she's been enacting on the spirit tree and Ori, and then ultimately is the like straw, like, how do I put this, like completes the action that Ori was trying to complete the whole game, and brings the spirit tree back to life and saves the forest, sacrificing herself in the process.
Yeah. Which I also like, because you have that big moment, but you also have the sort of the little things with the one. It's the little, I don't remember what they're called or what it's called. It's the little
spirit of the tree.
Not the spirit of the tree. The one of the little creatures you end up kind of running around with. He's the little
Gumo.
Gumo, yeah. When the first time you meet Gumo, he's hoarding like one of like the light orbs away from you and trying to keep it from you. But then by the end of the game, he's helping Ori's adoptive mother in the game, basically.
Right.
And so it just, I also love something that has like a path of redemption to it too. That is kind of like you've come to a dark place. But even with Gumo, you see the justification behind sort of his feelings there too, which is rough. And you're just like, oh, okay. Like very few people or creatures are just inherently bad because they're bad. Like, unfortunately, there is trauma and there is tragedy in lives that kind of drive people that way.
Right. Which we discover about the antagonist.
Which I love. I love a sympathetic antagonist, because you could go like, I don't agree with how you're doing this, but man, do I understand your pain, unfortunately. You know? I love stuff like that.
Me too.
And because it hits, it just hits better than just sitting there just going like, oh, well, fuck this guy, he sucks. When the game makes you kind of face why they're like this, it kind of makes you deal with yourself a little bit too, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, what's happened to me that's made me the way that I am?
Oh, am I fucked up?
Yeah, what happened? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't excuse the action either, which I appreciate. It's not going like because of this trauma or because of what happened to them that this is okay.
Right, exactly.
The lesson is still very clear of like, these actions are not right regardless of what's happened to them.
Correct. So yeah, love this game. Absolutely adore it. Something that we didn't even mention. It's built in the Unity engine.
Yeah.
It's a 2D platformer in the Unity engine. Need I say more?
Yeah, and it's just again to go on about the look. It's just such a good
it's so polished.
looking,
so polished. I'm looking forward to playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I don't know if you've played it.
I have.
I'm sure it's just as great.
By the time that I played Ori and the Blind Forest, the Will and the Wisp had already or was planning to come out. So I was like, all right, I should, because I got the Xbox One that came with Ori.
Sure.
I just never downloaded it and played it off the thing. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll fucking play this free game that I've had for like a year and a half now and actually do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then as soon as I beat that one and I was ready for Will and the Wisp, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
Let's go. And Will and the Wisp is excellent. A lot more mechanics to it.
Oh, cool.
They changed up the combat a bit.
Cool.
But in a good way. It's really, really cool.
Okay, cool.
It's more advanced than it does a cool thing for a sequel that doesn't always happen, where it kind of assumes that you have played the first one and uses that as the jumping off point to be like, okay, now we're doing this too.
Okay, cool.
Which is really, really cool.
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, the sequel is one of my favorite games too, so it's
very cool.
Definitely going to be a worthwhile play for the podcast at some point.
I'm sure. So, looking ahead, Moon Studios, the developers, again, of Ori and the Blind Forest and the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, so far have only produced this game and the sequel.
Yeah.
However, they do have announced that they are working on another title.
Really?
It is an untitled action role-playing game.
Ooh, okay. From these guys?
Yep.
That's going to be interesting.
And so, Will of the Wisps came out in, I want to say March of 2019. Definitely 2019. So it's about a year and a half, almost 2 years old. Which means that they could be well into the development of
more than likely.
Title.
Yeah.
It is untitled as of right now.
Gotcha.
We haven't heard much about it at all. But it is official from Moon Studios. Very much looking forward.
Very excited. Anything from this studio I'm going to be keeping track of, just because
they're a really cool studio. They have like 80 people, and they have a headquarters in Vienna, Austria. But their employees come from all over the world. They have they have employees in like 43 countries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like a virtual company.
That's cool though. I like that.
If it produces games like this, I'm all for
Obviously, the system works. That's great.
So big ups to Moon Studios. We're looking forward to what comes out in the future.
Mm-hmm. You guys did something amazing with both of these games, with both Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps. It's I don't know. It's just a masterclass of like the history of gaming kind of put into something like this, and how it's so gorgeous and respectful. I love it so much.
Absolutely. It's a masterclass in how to do lots of things right with your video game.
Yeah, but do them all really, really well, and knowing what to use.
Yeah.
It's just it's the best, one of the best examples to me. I know we're trying to wrap it up, but it's like, it is one of the best examples to me of just handing players a toolbox and going, this is everything you're gonna need.
Yeah.
And feeling satisfied that you used everything in that toolbox. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
I also feel like it's a good amount of content. Like, much more, and I would be like, okay, this is, like, kind of dragging, this is, like, taking too long, I'm a bit bogged down, and any shorter, and I would feel a little bit unsatisfied. Like, I would want more. I think that the cutoff in content for Ori and the Blind Forest is perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Is Will of the Wisp about the same?
I would say so, yeah. I think Will of the Wisp is a little bit longer, I think, but there's a bit more going on in the game itself. It covers a lot more points, so it's story's a little bit more complex. Okay. So there's a lot more to cover there, which I appreciate. So because if you're gonna do more,
you might as well do more.
Yeah. Like, do more, you know. But it doesn't feel like it's tacking things more. From what I remember, it's been a while, but it never feels like they're tacking things on just to be like, well, we got to make it longer than the first game. Right. It all still feels very intentional.
It goes back to that thing about like take the proper amount of time to tell your story and then get out of there.
Exactly. And they do. And that's the thing too, is like we talked about at the beginning, it's like, yeah, this story is simple, but like just because the story is simple doesn't mean it's not a story worth telling.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
go play Ori and the Blind Forest, y'all.
Do it. Do it. You will be frustrated, but you will not regret it.
We'll go out on that.
I'm good with that.
Cool. So we've hit the bonus round.
Yeah.
Or, whatever it's going to be. We can call it a bonus round, but we can just say, like...
This is what we're doing.
Hey, y'all. Here. Yeah.
So here's our plan.
I say we just wing it.
I'm down for that.
Cool.
Yeah. Apologies real quick. We'll pause for my stomach making noises this entire fucking time. Like, I'm fine, but I don't know what's happening.
It's okay. What did you eat today?
I had some chicken strips before I came over. Nothing crazy. Anyway.
Alrighty. Let's hit the bonus round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright. Ready? On 3, 2... Alright, everybody, it's time for the bonus round. For today's episode, we're doing something a little bit different with the bonus round. We're not playing a game or, asking each other questions or anything like that. We actually wanted to talk to everybody out there and let you know that we are going to be working on setting up a Patreon for the podcast.
Yay.
This, announcing it here is twofold. One, so that all of you know and can look forward to joining our Patreon and supporting us so that we can, do stuff like, buy backdrops and another tripod and maybe a camera. Who knows?
Yeah.
All TBD. But the second reason is that so we actually do it.
Yeah. Me and Brendan are both the kind of people that if we don't kind of put an outside pressure on ourselves to make it happen, we're just not gonna fucking do it because we don't have standards for ourselves. We need outside people to tell us.
And it's not like we have a boss, for the podcast that's like, you guys gotta do that. It's not like that.
Yeah.
So without any sort of pressure, we won't do anything.
The problem with free-spirited artists is that if you don't give them structure, they won't get anything done.
Very true. So we're telling all of you out there so that you can look forward to big announcements from us about when the Patreon goes live. But we are in the process of getting it done. So
yeah,
look forward to that.
And this is just an announcement happening, as like Brendan said. We don't really have like a structured plan yet for what's going to be on there, how we're going to be running things. So if you do have if anybody has any ideas, things that you like to see from us within reason. Obviously, please keep it within reason.
This is our Patreon, not our OnlyFans.
Yeah, not our OnlyFans. But really, just like throw out suggestions, throw out ideas, stuff you like to see from us, things you like us to start doing, maybe, and maybe it'll start as like Patreon-like entry-level things that we can start doing, but it might just end up becoming something normally that we just do for the channel, depending on how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think one thing that we can absolutely guarantee at this point that will be on our Patreon is bloopers from the show.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you want to at least see that, there you go.
Well, I don't know how much content they're going to get for bloopers, because as the Halloween episode proved, this is a well-oiled machine with very few cracks.
Yeah, very little to no mistakes ever made here.
It's not bad if you talk about it, right? No. It makes it better, right?
I think transparency is great.
Oh, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a big fan. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be doing something with that. Please throw out your suggestions, and we'll see we'll just see what happens with it. Really,
I think that we should also set up some sort of way for Patreon subscribers to communicate directly to us and like suggest episodes or topics. Or
I would love that. That would be really, really fun. That's a cool idea. I like that.
We could also set up a Discord, and our Patreon subscribers can get access to that, and
there we go.
Talk to each other there.
And we can just hang out and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can talk to us.
Yeah. Tell us all the mistakes we've made.
Which are slim to none, as we've established.
Clearly. I didn't say it was going to be a huge talking point. I just said you can do it if you want.
So anyways, look forward to that, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for listening to yet another episode of the 3VO podcast, where we are all on the same team. Thank you for listening to us talk about Ori and the Blind Forest. What did you think of this title? Did you play the sequel? And are you excited for the new upcoming adventure title from Moon Studios? Let us know.
Also, if you have any ideas for future discussions on our show, or you just want to hit us up and say something to us, please send us an email at 3VOpodcastteam@gmail.com and give us your ideas, thoughts, comments. We're on all the social medias, as we've talked about before, even though other than updating the episode list, there's not a whole lot happening on a bunch of them.
We're bad
I swear we're trying. We're really, really trying. We're working on it, guys. We'll make it happen. We're just going to eventually get somebody who is just like, you have to put stuff out.
Or maybe somebody that just does it for us.
Or just does it for us. There's that too. But we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And it's all at the 3VO or at 3VO podcast. So please make sure to comment, like, subscribe to the show, share it with everybody, talk about it with your friends. Even if you don't like it, just share it. It doesn't hurt you. Just come on, do us a favor. But yeah, it really means a lot. And as always, for those of us who have been listening to us, we really appreciate you guys being here. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.